Okay, we'll keep pixlock for the name of the function, but note that it's going to use, it's, messing with this. So the variable type is, yep, that's correct. And we could make that a more detailed error. So VT is still for variable type. We could make a note there. VT variable type. And then this varlock container needs to go. So we could color that something else. And all the purple got to go. So the pixel name, that is still yeah, that's still valid because that's also known as the sampler name. But we don't want to have two variables with, they're synonymous, but we don't, because the variables are synonymous, we don't want to actually use a sampler name variable. Man, I don't have that in my comments, really. So I don't think I put that in my documentation. So we're gonna go over here for a second, and the sampler name. Okay. So if we see anything that's sampler name, we want to use don't use use we can still use this in the comments to let us know that that's specifically we're using this name as the sampler name, but we just don't want to fractionate the variable names that we have. And then we can also say, like, if we do it backwards, we can just say backwards and wrong, use, and then we can do this. Just saying that, these things are equal, but we always want to use this in code, even though these are both equal. We want it so we can double click and have all the code points highlight. We don't want two different variable names that mean the same thing. That's just going to make our code more confusing. Even though in some cases it might conceptually make more sense to call it this, and in some cases it might be conceptually more sensible to use this. So pixel name or sampler name, depending on the context you're using it, one variable name or the other might make more sense, but in our code we want to decrease the number of variable names used, so we're always going to use pixel name, even when we're referring to the sampler name, because those two names are tightly coupled and they are synonymous. Okay, so now that we kind of addressed that, let's look at what we have here. So the pixel name, that is what we are sticking with, and we can just make a note that, we can make a note of that. That is a bit long. Okay, and Yeah, that is a bit... That's a bit ugly. I don't know, maybe we could do something like this. Where we just go... We'll do up to here. Alright. So I'm just kind of like lining that above here, so those both highlight, and then I can see that there. Okay, so this is good. So the variable lock, that gets to go, because we're not going to use that. Has location is still a thing. The location specifically refers to has lock. Right, it's the location of well, actually, it's the has the location of this thing, right? And did we already address the? Just want to make sure that I already addressed pixel location. I believe I did. Yeah, we already addressed pixel location to make sure that you either want sampler location or the texture slot value. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. So here I am just deleting the variable locations, and right there I was making a comment here. Has location is specifically referring to whether or not these have been set. And if that has been set, we will, if it's not been set, and pixel location is the invalid thing, right? So we can make a little note here again. The pixel location equals the sampler location, but well, actually, no, that is correct, because we're gonna use no, we're gonna use sampler location, correct? Yeah. Yes, we're gonna use the sampler location. Okay, so sampler location, and then our adapter graphics, our specific context graphics. We're going to get the uniform location. We're going to use the program. We won't be using this variable location thing, and we will be using the pixel names thing, program and uniform. And we can also make another comment down here that pixel equals the sampler name. Pixel name equals sampler name. Down there. Okay, that looks good. What else? So the variable location, the variable lock, we're going to get rid of that. It's just top level. Has location is set to true. It was set to true here, but now we're flagging it as true, and we have exited where we're actually performing that action. That's why I have the 1 and the 2 there. It's not really that important unless we were like debugging. And so object.freeze, we're just going to get rid of that. We don't need to, we're not going to freeze it. Just be careful with how you use the data. Don't muck around in things that you shouldn't be. Okay, so the location, let's go over it one more time, make sure this is correct. So we take the adapter graphics, we take the uniform pixels container, we make sure that the variable type is of uniform pixels container. Now if the string here for the uniform pixels container dot pixel name is empty, that means we haven't set it yet, and if that name is not set, there's no way we can get in set, right? So we're going to throw an error to make sure that we know that the name is not set. So the uniform name never set. We might need a little bit more specific message telling us exactly where we came from, and then UNNS for uniform name never set. similar structure to this error message, except it's a VT instead of a U, N, and S. We're going to go down here. So we have the pixel container. We're going to ask if that flag for having the location of the uniform fetched has the uniform been fetched, basically, has location. If the uniform has not yet been fetched, then we'll fetch it, right? And we only need to fetch it once because we are going to, once these values are set, they're just going to always be continuously that value. That's my design choice. So the sampler location will be set to this command here, so the adapter graphics.context graphics, which is our GL object in this case. We'll get the uniform location. We'll use the program, and that is also bundled with the adapter graphics, and we will use the pixel container itself and the pixel name, which is the actual uniform name, right? Okay, and then at the very end, we're gonna flag it with a 2 instead of a 1 to say that not only have we cached it, but we're done doing the inner logic that does the caching behavior. So you could say that this is, if it's less than or equal to 0, it's false. If it's 1, you could say that it's like in progress of updating, and then when it's 2, it's, you know, updated and stored, you know. But really, you can just think of it as true, false. That's just like more for me and for like debugging. Okay, so that, yeah, after reading through that once, I'd say that looks good. As far as the put, let's look at the put, because we still have these purple variable locks that we're supposed to get rid of, so that is incorrect. Adapter graphics, the uniform pixels, good. Same function signature as all of the other function signatures. If the variable type is not of uniform pixels, right, this guy right here, then we're going to throw an error. We can cut and paste the function name to be a little bit more specific. We can make a little comment over here that says VT means variable type. So if we're really curious about what the VT means, we can have more information. Okay, so cache the uniform location if not already set. So we're going to remove the variable location. Now, pixel location was the bogus thing, correct? Yeah. So pixel location is actually, and we could do this dot pick. It's actually the sampler location, aka. Or we could do, right, this doesn't have to be syntactically correct or anything. We're just like making like a shorthand note of what that means. So uniform pixels dot sampler location or pixel location. Now this command here actually is, oh yeah, this is for, right, because we don't have a, for the texture sampler uniform, it's just for fetching that value, right? Yeah, so there's no get or pit. There's no get and put for a location. It's just always a get. It's a get and cache, right? That's why there's no get put on that. But this whole function name right here is actually what we need right here. Like this is actually a function call to this right here, right? And since we're call it, we can, you know, space this out a little bit more. And got ya. So, right, so even though we could actually supply the second parameter as, actually, no, we couldn't. Never mind. You know, adapter graphics, and uniform pixels. Okay, sure, so we got that. To do, how to download texture from GPU. Okay, so we did make a note that we were missing something, and that's not the scope of this function, right? We have those stubbed out up here. That's what those are for. So we can safely delete this to-do now. That was just so that if I had tried to use these half-baked functions when I had first written them, I would get hit with this intentional error, and I would realize, oh yeah, that's right, this function I wrote a while ago is half-baked. It wasn't completely thought out. But now we're finishing the thought, and we can get rid of that. Adapter graphics, .context graphics. So the uniform 1 UI, I believe, is complete bullshit. It's like uniform 1U. So uniform 1 UI. Uniform 1 UI. So what I want to do is, I'm pretty sure that is bogus. It's just called uniform 1U. So I'm going to go uniform 1 UI, uniform 1 UI, and then maybe uniform 1-UI. And the reason why I'm doing this is uniform 1 uint32, uniform uint32. The reason I'm doing that is the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look up uniform 1 UI on the internet. Pretty sure that's complete garbage, but we want to... No internet, really. Are we on Chrome? How am I supposedly streaming if there's no internet? Has OBS just not realized that yet? Do I have any extensions that are messing with me here? Google.com. No internet, huh? Okay, so I'm just gonna, since I don't have any internet, I guess, what we are going to do, yeah, it doesn't look like we have any internet. What we are going to do is we're going to keep on recording, and since we can't really look up any documentation on this, I'm going to just be like, pretty damn sure you want uniform 1U. No such thing as uniform 1 UI. What do you know? Okay, so just a little note that I'm pretty sure that this is bogus, and I'm pretty sure that you want this if that's what you've typed. Put that into my knowledge base so that next time I come across that and I'm like wondering, I can just type it and I'll get like the kind of information that I am looking for. So I believe, because I have my my other, I'm just gonna put a whole bunch of little bookmarks right here, because I already have a working uint32 helper. I can find the... Oh, you know what though? I believe a so I have the suspicion that a uniform for a texture sampler is specifically an integer. It's specifically a signed value, and my other code was for manipulating an unsigned integer 32. So in this controller here, if we look at u32 get, we're probably using something a bit different. And oh yeah, so we can see get uniform. Okay, so that's why. So UIV, and then where we're setting it, if we can look at that, one. Oh, I guess it is 1 UI. I swear that was a mistake. I thought it was... Okay. But yeah, I don't believe these are going to be what I'm going to use. I don't have any internet, so I'm going to just make a note here. Correct. And because we know these ones are correct because I've been using them.